Right, here we are then, Stevie. It's a year since we last played in front of a crowd against Partick Thistle. And here we are, a year later. We're still chatting on Zoom. I know it's hard to sum up how the last year has been, but for everyone, it's been a strange 12 months. And for you, I'm sure it's the same.
Yeah, it's been a crazy 12 months, Stephen. For some people, I think it's possibly been a bit of a drag because obviously with the lockdowns and that, and find myself in a privileged situation that I'm still able to come into my work. We obviously had the lockdown period ourselves in March for a number of months, but at times it seems to have flown by. But it seems surreal that we're talking about 12 months down the line now. The last game we had against Partick Thistle 12 months ago was when supporters were there, and they're sorely missed at the moment. And I know that, I think as a profession, we're missing them. It puts an edge to the game, and hopefully sometime soon we'll see them back in.
I read a stat at the weekend, and it was to do with the Premiership in Scotland, and it was, I think, 70 home wins, 70 away wins, and 40 odd draws or something like that. Do you think that having no fans has made it a different sort of game in terms of our away form or home form? What's your thoughts on
that? Looking at this season alone, our home form has been very good. I think we've been competitive in our away fixtures, and one of the challenges that we've got between now and the remainder of the season is to win more games away from home, to get more points on the board. Whether there's been an advantage or disadvantage playing home and away, I honestly couldn't tell you. We prepare for games in the same manner for both home and away fixtures. The one thing, as I said earlier, is that you miss the fans, you miss them getting behind the team when you're having a good spell in the game, and equally, your own fans can get on your back as well when you're not performing to the levels that they're hoping that you're going to. So that's part and parcel of being a professional footballer, and I'm sure when we look back at these times and evaluate further down the line, we'll see if there has been any sort of common occurrences over this period. But as I say, not at the moment that I'm finding it going home and away that games are any different.
It's a year since crowds were last in. I remember after the lockdown period, the first lockdown period, we spoke at East End Park out on the side of the pitch. I think it was sort of June time because the weather was pretty decent. Did you think that here we are in March 2021 would be still having a press conference over Zoom and a chat over Zoom, and there'd still be no fans?
Nah, and this is only my opinion on this one. Was the initial lockdown period, I think we all knew we were going to have to go through that. Then when you're listening to the news and everything with the pandemic, we were made aware that there was going to be a second spike. But like you're saying, when we spoke back in the summer, looking forward to possibly the season starting, that again, not for 1 minute did I think it'd be, now into March 2021, talking to yourself over a Zoom call, Stephen. So it is what it is. We've got to be patient. I know people are missing the game. It can be their escapism as well. People supporting their clubs, and they're having to live their day-to-day lives at the moment without football at the moment.
You're right. We just need to sort of take it each day as it comes and follow the rules as best we can. One thing that the club has been doing, though, obviously East End, where you are just now, has been turned into a vaccination hub, which is brilliant because the vaccination is the way out of this. But it's good to see the club engaging with the local NHS and being a focal point for the community again.
Yeah, definitely. We're very much a community club, as you said. The fact that, we've made ourselves available and we can help the NHS through these hard times with the vaccination hub is great. And what it really did, it brought it home to us as a coaching staff, because it was a number of weeks ago though when we got hit with the snow. And the coaching staff managed to make it into East End Park. And obviously it's the elderly ones that were getting the vaccinations first, Stephen, and it really does hit home. Not everybody's going to be a Dunfermline supporter that's using East End to get the vaccination, but the reality of what we're actually going through at this moment in time, how tough it is, and as I say, we've got to stay together, and it's great that the club's helping the NHS at these tough times.
In terms of the way your job has been over the last year or so, is there one thing that has been particularly difficult that's stood out for you?
I think in any line of work is, and it's great because even speaking to you in the summer it's that personal touch, that human side. You know, we forget that we're human beings and like people are facing challenges, not just in the football industry, but other lines of work. And, you know, firstly, escapism. We're in a privileged situation that we're getting to come back to work and we're getting to, you know, do our profession, so to speak. But firstly, escapism for the football players, the coaches, staff, everybody connected with the club at the moment. And that's something that I try very hard to keep in contact with the players. And keep an ear out for that. It's really just their well-being, because they're going home, and what are they going home to watching the telly like all of us, to doing Zoom calls. Where do they get their escapism as well? So it's something it's been tough, because when you're working with a squad of 30 people and then you've got your support staff round about you as well, it's been one of the major challenges, Steve.
And you know, you touched on that there. You know, it's a big part of being involved in football and a football, a squad of players, you know this yourself, is the camaraderie that comes with it, the nights out, the you know, the activities that you do, the team building exercises, as I'm sure they're called now. Obviously, none of that has been able to happen as well. So, has there been sort of Zoom calls, Zoom drinks, anything like that?
It's not something that we've personally done. It's all I can say is the application from the players and this coaching staff has been terrific. People working within the club as well to keep us going through these hard times, following the protocols. They seem to be changing, you know, on a weekly, daily basis at times. As I say, it becomes a challenge, because we enjoyed the night out when we played. And as you say, it's probably team gatherings now, shall we call them. Whether it's boys going out for a social drink at the right times, playing golf, going go-karting, things that you took for granted that aren't there anymore. So, as I say, these things will all come back to us. But the one thing that I must give a massive pat on the back to the players has been their dedication, travelling to and from training without getting showered, not being able to use the changing rooms. It's been a grind at times, but it's probably things that the fans and people out with don't see on a daily basis of the challenges that we're facing. They're not moaning about it, they're getting on with it, and they're doing it with a smile on their faces. So it'll hold as well. We've got 10 big games coming up between now and the end of the season, and we've just got to keep the spirits high and kick on again.
You know, there's been a lot of clubs who have had COVID outbreaks because, you know, there's been a lot of COVID in Scotland, unfortunately, community transmission. Obviously, we've been hit by it in the past couple of weeks. I don't know how much you can say about it, but obviously it's been a difficult couple of weeks for the club and yourself, I'm sure. Yeah,
it's a fluid situation we find ourselves in, so I'm restricted in terms of what I can share and what I can say at the moment. All I can say is we worked accordingly with the SFA and the government right away. You know, we brought it to their attention. It's been done in the right manner. There's been a pride that we've managed to keep it at bay for as long as we did. We did feel as a football club we would face it at some point, and unfortunately after the Queen of South game, you know, it's managed to work its way into the club. It has had an impact on training last week. It's had an impact on training in the early parts of this week. But what we've done is we've turned it around to bring us together. And, you know, very much look forward now to the morning game.
And, you know, that's good to hear that, you know, the club were obviously in cooperation with the SFA and with the Scottish Government. There have been other clubs who I won't name who, you know, have had a bad rap out of this, whether you agree with that or not. You know, what's your thoughts on the perception of football and how Scottish football has handled the COVID situation as a whole?
I think whether it's football or again any other industry, but obviously we're in the public eye, so it becomes a responsibility with that. And not only have we been adhering to the government and the SFA rulings, the chairman put out our own protocol and guidelines as a club that we've tried to follow to the best of our abilities. It's been difficult at times. As I say, there are hurdles that you have to overcome. Things change on a daily, weekly basis. We've acted accordingly with it. So in terms of ourselves, I can only speak on behalf of ourselves. We're facing a situation at the moment where it has crept in. And you can only act positively on that. You can feel sorry for yourself that it's managed to get into the club, or you take it on board and you bring yourself together, embrace it, and use it as a positive for moving forward. And very much that's the way we've looked at it, Steve.
Let's move on to the on the pitch matters then. How have you felt the season's gone so far?
I thought we started the League Cup campaign was great. Getting one over on our rivals Falkirk was a nice boost to start the season. It would have been nice for the fans, obviously, to have been in for that one, but through social media and that, you get the feedback that they're delighted with the start of the season. Looking at the league campaign in the whole, I thought it was a really good, positive campaign. Eventually going out to the winners of the competition on penalty kicks, which, it's not nice on the night. But again, that's something that we'll look to kick on and learn from. The league campaign started really well on a positive. First third of fixtures, I thought we put a really good amount of points on the board. The second third we found harder. And having looked back, at the season so far, probably you can see the difference now in our home form and away form in terms of the points that we're putting on the board. A bit of both that. Are we being clinical and creating enough chances in front of goal away from home? Probably not. But then I think we've got to give other teams in the opposition credit for that as well, because of the start that we had to the season, they're giving us the respect that we're due in terms of making it difficult for us to go and win games of football. So every day's a learning day, Stephen. We can't live on the start of the season that we had. We're very much in a good position that we can move on and finish up the table as high as we possibly can, but there's things we can improve on in the final third as well.
And you mentioned there's 10 games to go, and there are some big games in there. We've got Raith Rovers at home coming up. We've got Dundee, the rearranged fixture, at home coming up. And looking at the table, if we sort of anticipate that Hearts will probably go on and win the league, second place is so important when it comes to the playoffs. And getting points over Raith Rovers and Dundee is going to be mega important, isn't it?
Yep, and that's got to be our sole focus, taking a game at a time and trying to get as many points on the board as we can, because teams will take points off one another between now and the end of the season. You can see it, the league's that tight. I think apart from Mallow being detached at the bottom of the league, it's so competitive. But everybody's shown that we can beat anybody on any given day. So, as I say, there's things that we're going to try and address, things that we're going to try and improve on, and things that we're going to try and continue to do in the same manner. As I say, it starts with Saturday against Morton, and we're looking forward to it after the wee delay in the fixtures with the Raith Rovers and Dundee games being postponed there.
And obviously in the last 12 months as well, the takeover's gone through. It's obviously probably not gone through to the levels that we anticipated because just of travel restrictions and stuff like that. So has there been any change in your day-to-day work? I know you've been working with Thomas quite a bit. Has he been over? Has there been Zoom calls? How's that been going?
Yeah, I think being transparent on that one is, in terms of the group coming over, it's obviously the restrictions that we're facing, that hasn't been ideal. I know that Ross is in constant conversation, dialogue with the takeover group. I have had communication with Thomas, but then there's obviously the restrictions that we're facing and trying to get players over as well, if we're to look at using his contacts. So it's things that we never envisaged, but the bigger picture is, and we said at the time, was that the expertise in their fields and their experiences of what they'll bring to the club longer term. I think that's what we can't lose focus of. Yes, they're trying to help us in the short term, but but I think longer term, to get the infrastructure of the club right, and help the chairman and the board that's in place at the moment, we'll see come to fruition over the next couple of years.
And, you know, I know you're getting to this stage of the season. We've already signed Craig Whiten on a pre-contract. I know he's coming on loan. So I'm guessing preparations for next season are well underway. And, you know, I guess it all depends what league we're in, but how far along are you with that? Are you happy with how it's been going so far?
Yeah, you know, the agents are in constant communication with ourselves as a coaching staff. As you know, we've got to prepare for next season. We've not getting ahead of ourselves, but we don't know what league we're going to be playing in next year, so you've got to prepare for both. It'd be naive not to. And as I say, it's trying to bring the right type of person, right type of player to this football club. I think I've said before that there's a real belief in what we're doing here at the moment, that we can see players that are now coming to the club that have got a good future ahead of them in the game, and they're wanting to come to Dunfermline for all the right reasons. They see it as a club that's moving in the right direction, and the hunger of trying to get back to the Premiership allowed us to bring players in last summer. Again, it brought players in January window there, and hopefully again that'll evolve in the close season, that we can attract players to move this club forward.
And finally, Stevie, just a message to the fans, because as we've covered in so many ways over the last 20 minutes or so, you know, the fans have been missing coming to East End part of the season, but they have been logging on to Pars TV and, you know, buying the away games, I'm sure, as well. Just a quick message to them for their support.
Yeah, I think it doesn't go unnoticed that social media these days, I know players look at it, and the fans have been great in terms of their support. We're hungry for promotion. We're hungry to try and finish as high in the league as possibly can. And that's what it is, being a Dunfermline supporter. You know, we want to be competing in that top league. We're not getting ahead of ourselves. We got off to a terrific start. And as I say, the realisation that we did find the second, third of the season that little bit more difficult. But, you know, we've got everything ahead of us. We find ourselves in a really good place to keep backing the team. And as I say, hopefully when they get back to games, we'll be in a better place on the pitch and off the park, and, you know, have many good years ahead of us to go on and kick on again as a football club.
Thanks very much, Stevie.
Cheers, Stephen. Thanks very much.